All right, we are live for the Monday edition of the Morning Check-In. And as always, excited to be back, man. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Looking forward to connecting and just filtering through some of the news this morning to see what sticks and what doesn't, what's real, what's not, and share my perspective on what's really happening out here, where the focus seems to be scattered. There's a lot of things happening, a lot of distractions, diversion tactics. But then again, the primary focus should be on the monetary matters. And clearly, gold is telling a different story nowadays than it was, say, 3 months ago. Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting morning, man. Before I move forward, let me know if everything is flowing smoothly. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if the audio, video is good. Want to make sure this live stream is well worth your time, as always. So scrambling as always on the back end, trying to put everything together. Maybe 6, 7 tabs open. More so, want to get your perspective on things. And so this week, of course, a lot of things are scheduled that will be primary market drivers, attention getters. But yeah, man, based upon everything that I've been focused on over the last several years, like literally, we're entering into that territory that I always suspected would be exciting, but then again, problematic. And it has to do with the price action, man. That's really catching a lot of people by surprise, I think. People, not you guys, but people who have not been tuned in to the Rethinking the Dollar and into alternative media in particular. So, all right, let me not waste any time, man. Acknowledge a couple people. As always, for those who are tuned in, want to definitely hear from you guys. So let me know your thoughts, ideas, suggestions. What are you keeping your eyes on? There's more than enough stories that could always keep us online forever. But then, what's the most important to you? Let me know in the chat so we can definitely shine some light on those subjects and share our 2 cents on things. And most importantly, keep everybody up to date with what's happening. All right, real quick, let me acknowledge a couple of people here. We got Maloney Investment says, "What up, RTD? How you doing, my friend?" Bobby Seals checking in says, "I keep saying this, but my silver bag is getting too heavy to carry. What shall I do?" That seems like a good problem to have, given that 99.98% of the population, unfortunately, may not be in that position that you're in. So you're a part of the 1% club in that regard there. Good stacking, Bobby. Vutran though checking in, Ed checking in. Appreciate you, man. X, it says, "Hey Mike, when you going live tonight?" X, man. I've dialed back from the live streams in the evening, man, just due to schedules changes on my end, as well as the unfavorable treatment by the algos, as I mentioned before. Not trying to complain, just recognizing the signs of the time. I know that subject matters that I love to touch on don't have the impact and the reach that I believe that they're worthy of having due to just the bell notification not going off for people. And so I incentivize people, encourage people to subscribe. But then again, out of 38,000 or so people, maybe 100, maybe 200 people actually get notified. And so it's one of the things where it can be very discouraging. And so I'm like, let me just focus on the mornings and cover the primary subject matter, of course, which for me in this particular season is starting off with the good news from my devotions, and then getting into some leading stories of the day, and then seeing where things take us. And then I'm also doing more writing and things like that. So yeah, just a change of things on my side, man. But Lord willing, if things work out, if things start to shift a little bit, I wouldn't mind getting back to the evening stream. So that's what it is. Meadows Gear says, "What's up, RTD? I never was able to save more than 1,000 in savings gold, and silver has allowed me to reach over 59K since I started stacking 3 years ago." Man, that's a good story there, man. That's a good story there. Putting those good fiat currency notes, redeeming them things for something sound and true, man. Good stuff. Okay. Welcome, everybody. As always, man, as I mentioned, for those who might be coming in or watching the replay, hit that thumbs up button. And if you haven't, just because it still might have some use, hit that subscribe button and bell notification, as well as my people on Rumble. Let me know where you're watching them from over there in the comment section, as well as the chat. I wish I could merge both softwares together right now, but it's not possible. So I do try to get back to comments accordingly on both channels. And so the Rumble community is definitely growing over there. So I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for blessing me with your time and presence. And also for those who might want to also, connect throughout the day, check us out on the socials. The most important one is probably X, where I do a lot of interacting with people, and then of course on Telegram, you can connect as well. All the links you need is in the description. So, all right, man, let's waste no time. Let's get right into it. The good news of the day. Good news of the day. Good news of the day. May 20th, and this one here is entitled "Eternal Yield." Just sounds like it's very fruitful right there. Let me get this out the way here. Okay, real quick here. I'm going to thumb through this good word here, and then we'll get into some subjects, man. Eternal yield. It says, those who live to please the Spirit will harvest everlasting life from the Spirit. So let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. From Galatians 6:8-9, New Living Translation. And then it goes on to say, at times you may wonder if the time you spend in prayer, reading God's word, and waiting in his presence has any real impact. Friend, it absolutely does. Though you may not feel any closer to him, practicing these spiritual disciplines increases the Father's influence in your life, especially as you obey him. The key to that is obedience. But like everything else in the Christian life, trusting the Father to transform you by, quote, by renewing of your mind, from Romans 12:2, as you seek him, is an act of faith. You're sowing unseen seeds to the Spirit, who then grows an amazing eternal harvest of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, goodness, self-control, and faithfulness in you. Often you don't detect that his fruit is showing through you, but others do. And they love the Lord more because of it. So don't despair. Keep seeking God and be confident that the time you spend with him is yielding great eternal rewards. And the closing prayer is, Lord, thank you for transforming me during these quiet times. May my life glorify you always, and amen. Amen, amen, amen. Eternal harvest available for those who are devoted and dedicated and obedient to the leading of the Holy Spirit. Good things always follow, man. All right, good people. Hopefully that was of a blessing to you this morning. Let me clear my screen up here. All right, let's not waste any more time, man. Let's get into some of the primary subject matter of the day. As always, let me know some thoughts, ideas, and chats in the comment section. We'll touch on it. I do see some things out here. Judy says, Judy, appreciate you for the question. Her thought says, what is going on with the bill to remove the Federal Reserve? And if I had money, I would buy homes and stop insurance requirements and loss of homes to mortgage companies. IRS laws is overpayment. Yeah, so I touched on that a little bit on, I think it was Friday, but Thomas Massey, Republican, out of, I think, Virginia, does a good job of I guess shining a lot of light on the criminality of our monetary structure. But then again, his bills never really move forward. They sound good, and it shows that he is conscious of our problems. But then again, it's him and some of his supporters, maybe 8 or 9 or so other Republican, representatives around the country, putting forth an effort to expose the criminality of the Federal Reserve System and all the likes. But then again, given the system has already been captured, it's those 9 or 10 people versus other 300-400 people. So very little will come from it, in my opinion. So I think it's more so just an awakening call that those who are aware, such as yourself, you're able to, realize that there are people out there involved in the system that realize it's a fraud and a sham. So it's up to you as an individual. I wouldn't expect anything at the congressional level to come through that's in favor of the people at this point. So literally it's up to each and every individual person to take matters into their own hands. And that comes through, of course, education and all the practical steps along the way to basically taking back what is yours. And that comes down to gold and silver in your hand, as well as other things that you may speculate in. And then when it comes to the claims on things that we think we own in this life, whether it be your home and all those things like that, you don't own anything. Nobody owns anything. You miss a property tax, you miss a payment of any kind, you'll find out who really owns it. And so it's unfortunate, but that's just the world we live in. So the goal is always to, I guess, keep your income above your expenses so that you can make your payments as best you can, as long as you can, even though taxes will go up eventually as we move through this decade. And that plays into the whole idea of you'll own nothing to be happy with it. That's the motto of the globalist banking cartel that want to try to remove all physical property from people. So it's going to be a continuous fight all the way through. But be of good cheer. I think people who stay informed and ahead of the game will definitely weather the storm a lot longer than those who are not. So that's just my little 2 cents on that. All right. So Viv says, Mike, do not be discouraged. Watch you every day. Appreciate you, Viv. Appreciate you much. Crypto King in the building says, good morning, Mike and RTD subs. Boom from Japan. Bedtime for me. Yeah, you're on a different schedule over there, man. Appreciate you for joining us, though. Okay, let's keep it moving. Let's get into it, man. Let me get just do my reminders as always, and then we'll get into the subject matter I want to touch on today and go from there. Let me get my stuff up here, man. Always scrambling. Okay. Going to be a good day, good people. All right, let's jump into it, man. For those who might be new to the community, you never know, but I got to always give people a chance to get some valuable information. So as you can see above my head here, the Dollar IQ quiz. 10 simple questions make a world of difference. And the whole design of this quiz is to expose that knowledge gap that we all suffered from at some point, where we were told one thing, but it goes against the complete opposite of what the truth is. It has everything to do with what we consider our money, our currency, aka the dollar, Federal Reserve note. So here, 10 simple questions, current average score, less than 60%. And all that does is just opens up hopefully the floodgates to where you desire more information and then you seek it accordingly, which allows you to do practical things to preserve your hard-earned capital. And so beneath this video here, I put together the 3 monetary steps to savviness, monetary savviness. And those are just some things I recommend based upon all my studies and things like that. And all the graphs I put together, just highlighting more of the things that, you didn't get in school, because I didn't get it either. So I had to go get it on my own. So 10 questions. Check it out. Links in the description if you're interested. And then next here, I want to continue to remind people. I'm actually meeting with the CEO, Paul, tomorrow to have a good discussion from Colonial Metals Group. So this is a way to actually connect people with the experts to find out best practices towards taking back out of the legacy system and owning something tangible through a self-directed IRA. So if you are interested and want to find out more, there's a survey or a little questionnaire to fill out. You'll be contacted by the team there, and they'll reach out to you and just ask questions and find out if this program is something for you or not. And as of right now, given the price of gold and silver, where things are heading, and the underperformance of the S&P 500 compared to gold, just some things to consider for those who may not be in tune. But once again, the colonialsmetalsgroup.com/RTD, a good way to diversify your holdings and protect yourself for the future. So you can give them a call at 888-521-2448 and tell them Mike from RTD sent you. They'll take care of you over there. So check them out if you guys are interested. It is an opportunity for everybody, but then again, not everybody will take advantage of it. So, you were warned and you're told. So that's my job here, people. That is my job. Okay, so let's jump into it, man. So I was going through the news and trying to figure out, some worthwhile stories to bring to your guys' attention. Of course, everyone here is in tune to everything that's relevant to what you focus on and what matters to you most. And so for me, with Rethinking the Dollar concept, it's all predicated upon monetary literacy, as I call it. And, price action tells a different story. And so with gold right now, literally this morning, of course, it's down a little bit, but having opened up at a new all-time high, to me, just signals more of a downgrading or a depreciation in the instrument that it's valued in, which happens to be the Federal Reserve note. So literally this morning, minus the premium that you would have to pay to go buy an actual piece of gold, an ounce, it was up $2,450. So literally 2,450 pieces of paper is what will be needed to acquire 1 gold ounce. And so we haven't seen nothing yet. And it's being led, of course, by the Asian markets. And so when you measure the activity in gold terms compared to other traditional legacy instruments, such as the equities market, bond market, gold is outperforming all those things in a very alarming rate. And so if it hasn't already, it will get more people's attention. And imagine what happens when the normies wake up, the people who have literally entrusted their entire financial world to individuals that operate upon commissions, i.e. stockbrokers, your predetermined mutual funds that's in everyone's 401ks and things of that nature. Like when the panic sets in, that's when we're going to really see price action. So what we're seeing now literally is just going to be considered bumps in the road, tremors along the way towards a much greater, monetary shock, to say the least. But what am I talking about here? Let's get into it, man. Let me just refresh my page here. And so I think moving forward, I feel that really continue to shine light on price action will be more suitable for me, given that the goal in rethinking the dollar is to help people understand the difference between sound money and fiat currency. Difference between a dollar, the dollar version that everyone is used to, the global reserve currency labeled dollar, rather than the constitutional United States minted versions of dollars, whether gold or silver. And so I think it's going to be a lot easier to get people's attention nowadays than it was, say, when I started this channel 10 years ago, because we're beginning the issues that I was focused on back in the day. Okay, so real quick here. Gold, $2,417 as of now. And let me zoom in here so you can see what I see here. So yeah, this is what we're looking at. So literally this morning, this is what the markets look like. It opened up. This is what we got here. Bam. So literally it peaked. Let me zoom in so you guys can see what I see here. So literally, let me just try to zoom in as best I can. May 20th. Early morning activity led out in Asia, got up to 2,450. Then we have here at 2 a.m. all the way up until, no, let me see, my timing is off. My timing is off. My timing is way off. All right, but point in case is you get my drift here. $2,450, and as of right now, it's $2,443. And so what is going on with this bid price here? Yeah, my figures is all off. Here we go. There we go. Now we up to date. Okay, so here we go. Timing is good. 521, 2,450. Then we had the markets opening over here in the Eastern Hemisphere, and boom, as always, algos sell off. And now we're trading at 2014-19 range. And so, as of right now, the higher the gold price climbs, the more volatility that will arise in the legacy system, aka all the other paper derivative / computerized screen assets that the world is used to. And that will definitely cause a lot of concern for investors, especially those who are not too monetary savvy. So consider yourself to be blessed and fortunate to be awake and aware as to the transition and taking place right now. And so let's keep it moving. Let me get into what I wanted to touch on. So here we have just a little excerpt from the Kobayashi letter. And this is a very great synopsis of a bigger, more newsworthy story outside of everything else happening. We're going to touch on that in a minute, but keeping your eye on the money flow. It says here, gold prices rise to a new record high of $2,450, now up 23% in just 3 months. Imagine that, 3 months. So within the last 3 months, something behind the scene has shifted. Something has turned. The tide has turned in favor of a more favorable price discovery beyond the Western-driven paper manipulation game. And so as you can see here from this chart above my head here, like literally at the beginning of this year, around February-ish, when we had that last little, let me just zoom in here so you guys can see what I see. When we had this last little, what could be considered the last time gold touched that $2,000 range, that could be the last time we've seen $2,000 an ounce gold. And since then, central banks, led by the Chinese Asian spot physical delivery mechanisms and other panics underneath the surface, are literally driving the world into the hands of gold, or gold into the hands of people who want to diversify themselves out of everything that has been labeled as a safe haven. So at the end of the day, we're witnessing what is truly a preferred mechanism for preserving and protecting, aka the real 6,000-year-old, potentially, safe haven. So real quick, I think this story here to me is definitely just as important as everything else we're going to be told. Focus on what matters most, and everything else will kind of fit into the narrative that they're creating or trying to create around us. But it said gold prices are now up 35% since October, even outperforming the S&P 500 gain, negative 29%. So listen, if the S&P 500 is what the mainstream media and the markets and all the monetary pundits, financial pundits, analysts want the world to focus on, driven by the tech sector, whether it be NVIDIA or Apple, Google, Microsoft, all those companies that are basically computer software or some hardware type of companies. If they are where everyone is being steered into and they're not performing at the level that gold is, internationally speaking, where do you think people will definitely look to flock into within the next couple of months when this information somehow, some way makes it to the average investor, especially, the baby boomer generation who's sitting on all the wealth? There's going to be a complete awakening period where people are going to demand that they start either selling off some of their stocks because they are rather frothy at this current moment, given their overvalued status. And so that's more pressure on the monetary authorities to try to keep these asset bubbles inflated. And ultimately, the money that is removed from the stock gains will flow back into something real and tangible. And so, yeah, based upon the current trends and trajectory of gold at this current moment, not to mention silver is a whole nother ballpark. We literally will probably every month from this day forward, based upon what we've seen so far since February, every month, like literally every one of these blips. So look at this, just looking at the trends, like just not being a forecaster or type of guy, but look at these trends. I mean, just look ahead. So literally, if say, according to this blip here, this was a new all-time high in March timeframe, and then April, new all-time high, relatively speaking, to the previous one. And then here we have May, a new all-time high. So if I was just to speculate, just throw out some ballpark figures, based upon the last 3 months of every month leading to a new all-time high, we literally, by the end of June, could see a $2,500 all-time high. We've never witnessed the price of an ounce of gold costing 25,000 pieces of paper before. That's monumental. It will not be ignored. And then for the average Joe, such as myself, more concerned with the people's money, clearly silver is going to follow suit. And speaking of silver, as of, let me just get this right here. Let me get this right here. So we're looking at literally within early hours of this morning, silver got up to a more recent high as well of $32 and some change. And of course, the algos came in, sold it off to just a measly $31. And mind you, if we were to zoom out, just say 3 months relative to the gold situation, we go back to March. Let's just go back a little further. If we go back to February of this year, we were at $23. And then we looked at, let's say, March. We got a new little something, $25. We go to April. We get to $29. And here we are in May. We had $32. So just throwing out some figures, what could we expect for June, similar to gold? If gold is, say, $2,500, let's just say silver could be approaching $40 based upon the trajectory. If I was to be able to draw charts and stuff like that, which I don't, but if I was to draw a little line going upward, I would put it at $40 to maybe $50. And the reason I say all that is because price action based upon the physical tells a different story. And we can we can pretty much, if you haven't already, start ignoring all the mainstream hype and hope and hopium coming out of what Jerome Powell says, as if it matters. Or if this political rift that they're trying to create in the digital sphere. Because I believe that somehow, some way, as a result of this, CBDCs and that digital synthetic dollar talk, stablecoin stuff is going to probably start surfacing now, because This type of gold and silver price activity threatens, in my opinion, the stranglehold on the banking system that has been basically the whole system in and of itself for the last 100 years, i.e. the Federal Reserve model plus some. And so literally the push to go digital will speed up because they cannot have the normies waking up to what's happening with the physical world. Okay, enough of that rant. Let's keep it moving. I don't want to bore you guys, but I want to just shoot it straight. So let's get into some more commentary on this gold situation. And I'll just let the people who make a living full time off of this, senior investment advisors and senior portfolio managers share their 2 cents. So here we got Jamie Carrasco, Shanghai X versus COMEX this morning. So this came out at 8:21. Says, can you spot the efficient market maker? So here we have to the left some activity from the Western Hemisphere. Bitcoin, $67,000, index 104, silver, 3154, and gold, 2,426 at the time of this. And then we go out east. As of May this morning, market closed over in Shanghai. Silver was $35.38. Physical, not the paper. And gold was $2,488. And all this red behind my head represents the amount of drainage that's daily occurring at the vaults at the Shanghai Exchange. So literally, people are pulling physical off the markets at a very alarming pace because it's all physical driven there. So what am I getting at here? Things are changing. The world is changing. Keeping it moving. All right, getting some more stuff here. So here's another little interesting take here. And so this is kind of like a wrap up to last week. We talked about this a little bit with Xi and Putin's meeting and their brotherly hug at the very end. And so this is from Eric Peters, CIO of One River Asset Management. And so he's a person responsible for managing people's portfolios and things of that nature. So he's keeping his eye on some things. So definitely, I'm sure he's positioning his clients in a more favorable way, suitable to the environment that's happening globally, not just the narrative we're being sold here. So you probably won't be able to read this, but let me see if I can zoom. Let me see if I can make it. You probably won't be able to read it, but the whole point is to show you just some graphs here because here we have an expert writing an article about stuff that I talked about last week in reference to the decoupling between U.S. liabilities being dumped and real world resources being accumulated in these charts here. So real quick here, just what caught my attention was just this summation here. Can't read it, but I'll read it for you. It says, the move is underway to allocate out of fiat currency into things that cannot be printed on paper. This is what an asset manager is saying. And so he says, the Chinese-Russian joint statements reads like a playbook for how to create a fully independent political and economic zone. And so every area that China and Russia agreed upon expanding last week, he kind of hints on just some stuff here. It says for industry, developing civil aircraft construction, shipment, car makers, whatever, for agriculture, for energy, for nuclear energy, for Taiwan. It says Russia reaffirms its commitment to the principle of one China, recognizes that Taiwan is an integral part of China, opposes the independence of Taiwan in any form. So once again, regardless of our thoughts, ideas, suggestions based upon Taiwan being, a sovereign nation or not, historically speaking, well before all of us was born, especially myself, the confusion between the merger of Taiwan, Hong Kong, and all that region, the historical precedence that they have as to how that land is structured over there goes beyond what we here in the West have the right to really say or influence with our military presence. So that's their problems. And so Russia, whether I like it or not, doesn't matter, is backing China with the idea that Taiwan belongs to them. That's for them to work out. I let them work that out. I ain't got nothing to do with us here in the Western Hemisphere. They came to some stuff on Ukraine. So as of this morning, I came across a report that Lavrov, the Russian prime minister, foreign minister, whatever, is okay with China, Xi, setting up a Ukraine meeting to help them squash that beef. And so Russia's good to step to the table, and we'll see if Xi can convince Zelensky and Ukraine to step to that table, because once again, the globalists, the warmongers don't want peace. So you better believe between now and then, the chance of another event popping up that would further escalate that proxy war in that region might be possible, because the warmongers don't want peace. Peace is not tolerated during a reset, as we're witnessing. technology and for market. So these 8 areas of influence China and Russia spoke on last week, and they strengthened their ties to accomplish their goals within these frameworks here. And what he's saying is it don't require dollars to do that. And it goes on to more talk about Chinese holding less treasuries, but then again, they've been incorporating and including more gold into their portfolio. Yeah, so the diversification and the true price discovery of metals is definitely being driven by forces beyond the Western's control. And so, yeah, that's something we're paying attention to. But then again, it doesn't leave China immune from its economic woes, because it says here, China's capital outflow surges to its highest since 2016 in April. So literally, as China having their internal conflicts based upon them being indebted amongst themselves and their problematic commercial real estate markets, and all the other things that they're experiencing there, it looks like people are also flying for safety. And they're flying for safety, as it says here. China banks sold more foreign currency to clients than any time since the 2016 timeframe. So literally, people who have accounts in the Chinese banks have been allowed to and are currently trying to diversify their holdings beyond the yuan. So even the yuan, even though it's the medium of exchange that China and Russia have agreed upon using, as of now, it is and will remain a tool to be used. But I believe that what they'll end up doing if it becomes problematic with fiat currencies is that they'll easily attach it or back it by real world assets. So that's why I think China can continue to run a printing press machine, because the amount of gold they have in their vaults, we don't really know anything about it. And so it's good to say that to reinstate trust, they can literally change the monetary game by revaluing the price of gold according to the amount of yuan they have outstanding. And that right there drives up the price of gold and silver to something that really would be stupid, because how will the West respond? They got to also come to the table, because think about this. Whatever the COMEX LBMA price is on the Eastern Hemisphere, Western Hemisphere, it will always be smaller than what's happening out in Asia. And so, like always, people would buy where it's cheap and sell it where it's high. So literally, it will put so much pressure on the vaults over here that yeah, it's just, we would literally be in a world we wouldn't even recognize. So, but anyway, real quick, it says China's capital outflows worsened in April, underscoring headwinds for the yuan amid a weak domestic economy and uncertainties over the Federal Reserve's rate trajectory. It says local firms purchased the largest amount of foreign exchange from banks since 2013, while exporters held back dollar conversions and residents snapped up foreign currencies for overseas travel. Official data reported. So imagine, like, a lot of their capital restrictions keep them from being able to outright dump their own national currency and save in foreign currencies. But then again, they can buy gold because they've been incentivized and encouraged by their government to do such. So just, the problems there are similar to what we're having here. Debt is the issue. And what best way to, I guess, rebound or recover from an indebted society is to literally take the debt instruments and exchange them for real world assets of a variety of forms. So just a little something happened over here. And then another story here. It looks like the Iranian helicopter crash has sparked a lot of interest, concern, speculation, all in one. Everything is timely, but then again, the motives behind these type of things definitely could stretch people's imagination to think that it could be a variety of reasons as to why this happened, or never leave out the possibility that because of the information we're getting now, which is scattered throughout, that the plane crash was recovered, but then the bodies were so mauled based upon wild animals tearing up, they can't recognize the bodies. It's like, it's possible. Or it could be a staged event from the Iranian side of things. We don't know. But once again, it's just stuff that leaves us speculating. But the question is, where will things go from here? And so I put together some thoughts on the RTD blog for those who might have interest in finding more about it. But I said, geopolitical shockwaves, the impact of Iranian's presidential helicopter crash. And then also I'll just put out some thoughts about 7 topics you won't hear in the CNN's Trump-Biden debate. Some good stuff there. And then, from be your own bank to bring your crypto to the bank, how basically the Wall Street is capturing the crypto market as well. So here's some thoughts that you guys might be curious to find out more about at the RTD blog. So just some things happening in the news, man. But that's all I have this morning. Let's get into the chat real quick. Feel free to throw out thoughts, ideas, suggestions. What are you guys keeping your eyes on? Let's touch on it real quick here. Going to be a quicker live stream just because outside of the monetary matters, everything else will be noise along the way. So feel free, throw some thoughts, ideas, suggestions, man. What are you guys keeping your eyes on? Let me bring up my chat again. Where'd my chat go? Bring up the chat again. What we got here? Hyenas ate the bodies. That's what that might be what's circulating, but once again, all media, mainstream media sources are incentivized to put out a narrative that favors somebody. At this current moment, it's very seldom that you'll get any form of truth other than people who try to shoot it straight. And that comes from the alternative media. Everything else is it's going to be spun in a way that it paints a narrative according to the people who wrote the scripts. It's amazing how, depending on how you look at it, you can take a plane crash and turn it around and have it sound like it's something that was some good news. It'd be good news for the West, bad news for the East. But then again, I see reports about, people within Iran are quote unquote, celebrating because of the person who apparently passed was not the yada, yada, yada. What else we got here? If Biden chopper crashed, his poop diaper would save him. You're wrong for that one. He is dead. Okay. Yeah, it's a possibility. That's the thing. We can take everything at face value, or we can question everything given to us. I tend to question everything until further notice. John says, how high do you think gold and silver can go? Gold and silver can go to numbers our mind can't conceive because it's pricing something that is being destroyed in record times. And so literally, if you take into account all of the known USD created instruments out there, we'll probably approach the tune of, say, 2 quadrillion. And let me demonstrate this. Let me show you why and how I throw out figures that sound completely outlandish. But if we were to, this is an older graph here, but it serves the purpose of what I'm trying to do. So let me bring this up here real quick. This is a visual aid that I use all the time, and it's old, but it serves the point. So looking at the John Exter pyramid, a former Fed employee back in the day created this pyramid, basically highlighting the degrees of what was that? I forgot. It was like debt instruments from the top to the bottom, monetary instruments from the top to the bottom. So anyway, at the very top, and this is probably, it says $1 quadrillion of derivatives. And that's old, because since this was created, the last figure I came up with was like 2.1 quadrillion. And so derivatives of off-balance hedges, bets created by the banks themselves. Every globally systemic bank is exposed to the derivatives as a part of their profit margin making mechanisms. And so literally at the very peak of this pyramid, as we can see here, if we were to just look at gold, which is what we can see, at the time, gold was 6.4 trillion. As of today, gold is 10 trillion now. So that just goes to how old this was. But at the very tip of this pyramid here is silver, and at the time, silver was 0.024. And I think silver, as of right now, silver is what, a $3 trillion market? No, 3. If gold is 10, I think silver is 3. So the question was, how high can it go? Literally, if there's 2.1 quadrillion digital units on screens out in the world, if every single digital unit was accounted for, meaning that you had to take all those units and then divide it by the total amount of known gold in the vaults, because we don't know the true figure of gold because a lot of it's hidden, in vaults that have been in vaults for hundreds of years, given families that own it, but just a known supply of gold and the silver. Silver being a much more scarce, readily usable, and never recoverable out of devices, gadgets, whatever, meaning it's that much more precious. The price would fall into figures that we couldn't really fathom because at this current moment, gold is 2,500 ish, silver $30, between $30 to $40 ish time ballpark at this current moment. 2.1 quadrillion. How do you divide that number to try to account for if every digital unit had to be accounted for in paper terms, and if you measured it in gold and silver per 1 ounce of each? We couldn't come up with a number. Like, it's not mathematically possible. Like, my brain doesn't operate that I have a capacity to put together numbers that would make that balance out. So to answer your question, the price is unlimited because of the amount of digital distractions that have been created to distract the world. And all those units that were created literally have been at the expense of savers of that same currency, that those derivatives, the corporate bonds, municipal bonds, government bonds, they've all been denominated in Federal Reserve notes, which is what we all have grown to call our money. And in actuality, it's not our money. It's a contract between the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. And we, as the users of the currency, we're responsible for servicing the debt amongst those two agreements with our taxes. So anywhere I go, holders and those who rely upon pricing their futures in a currency that is weaponized against them will lose. It happens all the time. It's a monetary fact, in a sense. Yeah, long with answer for interesting perspective. Third party risk, 100%. Cannibals got the guy. Cannibals got these guys. Yeah. If that is what they want the media to believe, they put it out there saying that the bodies was unrecognizable. Busam says BRICS is going to destroy the dollar. The U.S. is destroying the dollar itself. BRICS don't really have to do much other than just be positioned to not also fall into the same traps, because their currencies is also going to go belly up. And that's why they're protecting themselves from their own issues by using currency that they can print or create with relative low stress and no work ethic or efforts, and then actually use that to buy something real is genius. Imagine if we could do that. Then again, we can, but it's just all a part of your strategy. Revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. I hear a lot about that, and I don't follow it just because it's people trying to profit in a paper that is ultimately going to be destroyed. So if that does happen the way that people, plan that out, it's going to be short-lived, because the Iraqi dinar, unless it itself is going to be backed by something that will be redeemable to the holders of those currencies, then it's just a rebranded, remodeled framework of a failing fiat currency. As long as it's fiat-based, meaning government decree, government issue with nothing behind it, you'll profit in the short term. It's from a Forex currency trader perspective, then sure. I mean, you can get out there and make some things happen if it plays out the way you believe it will be. But once again, that's just one area that I don't personally pay much attention to, because it just requires concentrated effort and skill to get in, get out, and all that other stuff. So yeah, there's buku ways to profit off this transition. But then again, you got to know what you're doing, man, because it's a risk for those who don't. And, chasing profits at this current moment could be risky, because you got to put something up in order to gain something. And what you're putting up, are you willing to lose it if your trade doesn't go play out the way you want it to? Something worth considering for my people out there. Cherokee Mike says, agreed, Mike, it's fiat. Yeah, so, we're interesting times, man. But anyway, that's all I have for this morning. A different story is forming in the metals market. Price is going to tell us what the real story is. So act accordingly. Don't listen to what the pundits say, but watch what the nations, the governments, and the big players are doing. And they are rethinking some things, and hopefully you are too. All right, good people. If you enjoyed this live stream, hit that thumbs up button, hit the notification, hit the check mark on Rumble, leave a comment, thought, an idea in the chat. If you found value here, take this video, share it on your social so more people can find out an alternative perspective. That's what it's about. That's the best way to educate people. That's how you can play your part in this monetary transition. All right. Be blessed, be safe. Shalom.